Away, guys. It's Splash Bros here with Lampies and Cbreezy.
Okay, guys, this is our first official video. Welcome to Splash Bros.
Yeah, hope it's going well. Remember to like and subscribe. Always.
And remember to hit that jumper.
Yeah, hit that jumper. So today we have the Dallas Mavericks and the San Antonio Spurs. We're going to discuss a bit around the teams and what the future holds and our opinions about them.
Yeah, a few interesting topics because we all know the Spurs are in a difficult position and the Mavericks are on the uprise. So they're catching each other at a, difficult point in both of the teams' careers. But the Mavericks are on the uprise and the Spurs obviously, digressing.
Yeah, that's true. Just want to let you know if you're watching, the teams are not up to date it's relatively up to date, but there's some players that aren't there anymore. But yeah, and it's also 2K19, so sorry, but yeah, that's all I can do up the moment.
Yeah, but it's anyway just the background,
Yeah,
we're gonna
yeah,
talk.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I'm playing the Mavs, so sorry, I'm not that good, but yeah. Hopefully, we have Porzingis and Lucas, so it should be close.
Speaking of Porzingis and Luka, two European players, I think it's a great deal. Where do you rank that deal and going into the future,
Ooh,
Lampies? What do you think, man?
Theo. Okay, Lucas still what is his second season? Oh yeah, is
Yeah, it's
yeah
only
sick.
sophomore, yeah.
So and then Porzingis came back off his injury. So yeah, it's a difficult. I will say top five. Let's go top five because there is other deals like Clay and Steph, Russ and James Harden. Who's there? Who's there? Let I think.
Yeah, it's AD,
Lady
LeBron,
LeBron,
Kawhi.
Maybe Giannis and Middleton.
Yeah, yeah,
So
both are all stars.
all
So
stars.
there's a
So
lot of good deals in the league right now, but
yeah,
but none of them quite have. I don't know. Personally, for me, I think that these two guys just fit perfectly well together. They complement each other's playing style very well, and not just because they're European, but also the way they play. I think complement each other very well. I mean, it's similar to Kawhi and PG also complement each other's game because they're very similar players. The same can be said for Luka and Porzingis, but it's great deal.
mm, yeah,
It's a Kojak like deal, but the only difference is Luka passes and Porzingis can actually shoot the free ball. So
yeah. Which
this
must
is
say,
a this
for
is
me, like Porzingis is one of the. If it wasn't for his injuries, I think he would have been an all-star. Definitely in his first year,
yeah.
he
I mean, he was
was.
a he was an all star when he was on the Knicks. In that
Yeah.
season, he got injured.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, yeah, he's very versatile. I mean, that's why they dubbed him the unicorn because he's one of the most versatile players in the league. He plays offense, he plays defense. I mean, he's 7'3" and he can shoot, and he constantly improving on his game. He took a lot of jump shot, a lot of mid-range jump shots on the Knicks. He's cut that out a lot this season. And he shot a lot of bad shots on the Knicks, but I wouldn't necessarily it was bad shots because on the Knicks he was forced to shoot.
Mm,
But I think it took him a while to get into his stride with playing with Luka. I mean, it's a new team, it's a new city. There's a lot of things when going to a different team. You first have to settle in. Obviously, your second season is obviously going to be much better than your first season. And it shows, for example, like Paul George, his first season at OKC was very underwhelming. He wasn't the same guy was at the Pacers, but then his second season, he was a top three player in the NBA. So I think the same could happen to Porzingis, like we've seen. When
yeah,
Luka was out this season,
yeah.
Porzingis has been brilliant. And speaking of Luka being out, do you think Luka's injury problems could be something going forward? Could be a problem for the Mavericks?
I don't know. It's like he's young. Now, if you're young and you get injured, it can be problematic, um, as I can say, for in the future. So I don't know. But lucky they have like Porzingis, the backup man. And as
Yeah,
we saw, Porzingis could carry the team without Luca being there. And we know Porzingis is like he can do everything. Like you say, he's the unicorn,
yeah,
and
he's
he's
the
like
unicorn. He can do anything.
flipping. How he's like the third tallest in the league, or what? Or no, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I only think it's Boban, which is on the same team, and Taco, who's
Yeah,
taller.
Taco's taller, yeah. But for that length, he's quite athletic.
Mm.
Um,
But with Lem comes also, the big injury problem. I know
yeah,
a lot of people wouldn't necessarily say it, but I mean, Luca, he hasn't struggled with injuries. He hasn't struggled with injuries, but he's picked up quite a little, a few things here and there. Missed 3 games here, missed 4 games there. If you can't play an 82 season, and I know load management is something that every player or every team does now quite often, but you want your guy to at least play 70 games a season. And both Luka and Porzingis, I don't know. It feels like there could be big injury problems.
mm,
But at the same, saying that it's a sport, it's the NBA. Everybody gets injured. No one plays 82 season in, season out, unless you're like John Stockton, who is just fantastic. But, you're always going to get to injury. So I don't think we can really have a deep conversation about injury problems,
yeah,
because, everybody gets injured. With Porzingis, he just had bad luck. He went up for a poster on Giannis, and Giannis fouled him. He had a bad fall, which cost him his ACL, but he came back stronger. I
yeah.
mean, you've seen the guy. He puts up some serious muscle,
No, he does. He did. Yeah, and
uh, and
as I follow him on
that's
Instagram,
scary.
so yeah, if you check him there, you could have seen in his progress. He definitely improved. And like just a like example, like Blake Griffin, he's also injury prone. So, and because uh, um, Porzingis can shoot, he can also just go to that. He can like, yeah, how can you say, just shooting. He
Yeah,
doesn't have to go to
he
the
has
paint.
he has other tools in his locker.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
he he doesn't need to go to the paint. He's still a tall guy, which means he will still be a good shot blocker, and
yeah,
he can shoot, and he shoots very well. Like I said, he should cut a little bit back on the mid-range shot. Um, he settles too much for the mid range. That's one thing I can criticize Porzingis on. He's settling for the mid range shot, and I'm not talking about when he gets feeded in the post and hits up fadeaways. I
yeah.
mean, in the pick and roll, sometimes he just pull up. But that's the thing he did less this season. But yeah, I know. Speaking of Porzingis and getting the ball, do you think Luka is a good ball distributor, good playmaker, or do you think he doesn't? He's a little bit of a ball hawk. Where would you put Luka Doncic as a playmaker?
Let's just say
How do you
this.
rate him?
I think he does pass the ball, but I think he's also a bit of a ball hog. Um,
A little bit
so
of Russell Westbrook in.
yeah, definitely. I think no offense against Russell Westbrook, but he also likes his stats, and I think he
Yeah,
also plays like that. It's just I don't know. Yeah, he just maybe because last year he was alone. You don't know. So yeah, but I think it's a little bit of a bollock. I saw on on social media that they say he's a bit of a bollock. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. It's difficult, because looking at I compared him quickly to Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook has led the league in assists twice. But that isn't to say he's a good ball distributor. For me, he's a good ball distributor, but his usage rate is very high. I think the same goes for Luca. The thing is, you want the ball in Luca's hand because he's the best player on the Mavericks, and he's top 5 in the NBA.
Yeah.
So obviously you want a guy who gets you 28 points per game, almost 10 rebounds and 10 assists per game. You want him to have the ball, but at the same in that same sentence, you also have a fantastic player in Christoph Porzingis, who also has the potential to be top 5 in the NBA, who could also be the best player on the Dallas Mavericks. So it's difficult. I think
Yeah.
they're gonna need time. They're gonna need time to work things out. Uh, like like the same when the Mavericks had Steve Nash and Dirk. It was difficult to manage it, and they ended up letting Nash go, which was a big mistake on Mark Cuban's half. But he said he's going to keep these guys together, and I think with good complementary pieces, which they have put on the roster, the
Yeah.
future looks good in Dallas. Really good.
Yeah. No, I also think so. Really. They.
Potential
Do they? Do you
potential dynasty, might.
maybe? Do you think they need another player to make a big three, or do you think they're fine? As we're
I
talking about
think
big
they need.
threes.
I think they needed 2.5.
Two and a
Um,
half. Mm.
I think they needed 2.5. 2.5 meaning, look, they maybe have already a 2.5. Tim Hardaway is a very good season. Powell is also a solid player. You also have Jalen Brunson. Seth Curry, when he gets hot, is definitely a half.
Yeah.
Boban doesn't play enough minutes. Kibler is also solid. So, look, great, great roster. Good team. They will fit well together. A lot of guys who can shoot the ball and good defense. That's one thing. The Mavericks really hasn't been known for is good defense. Obviously,
Yeah.
Dirk wasn't the greatest defender since they had Tyson Chandler. Since he left, not a very great defensive team. And this season, they have one of the best offensive ratings in the history of the NBA. The the best offensive rating in the history of the NBA. And
Yeah,
Porzingis helps a
that's
lot on defense. Um, but 2.5. Who do you think could fit well in Dallas? Who do you think could fit well with the playing style of
the
those two guys?
Mavericks. Yeah, it's a difficult
Yeah, or
question.
Mavericks.
You putting me on the spot here. Yeah. I don't know. Looking at I think they still need. Okay, the thing is, what is Porzingis playing small forward or power forward? He's
Yeah,
playing power forward.
if he's powerful, yeah. Sometimes he'll slot into center.
Mm,
It depends. They like to play Kubler on center, and also they like to play Powell on center. But they want Porzingis to be free because he's a good offensive player.
yeah,
So most of the time, put him on power forward. Same like Anthony Davis doesn't want to get stuck on center.
yeah. No, I understand that. Do you think they need a center or do you like a proper center?
I don't know. The thing is, the centers that they have are good. Willie Cauley Stein is debatable when you're saying good, but I mean he's a good role player.
Yeah,
They also have a little bit of cap space left. I don't know. It's difficult for me because Luka plays point guard, shooting guard, and small forward. Porzingis can play small forward, power forward, and center. So if I would say if they needed another guy, it will also be a positionless type of player.
mm,
Also, one who would fit the bill, the age, also fit well with the salary cap, which means it's a young player on his rookie contract. And at this stage, when I'm looking at guys, I kind of feel like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander would fit fantastically on the Mavericks. He plays a little bit of defense.
yeah,
He's a good playmaker. He's got good handles. He can shoot for free ball, and he's a good passer. And he's a guy that plays for the team. So maybe say Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Um, Trying to think of another player who could intertwine well with the team. Obviously, D'Angelo Russell would also be fantastic on the Mavericks, but that's he's already on the Timberwolves. But in real honesty, I don't know. It's difficult. Trying to think of a player who could really fit well with the Mavericks.
so you think it's
Think
more
about
like the two small guys, the PG and the point guard and shooting guard to fill that spot because I think they must play Luca on small forward and then Porzingis on
yeah.
power
But the
forward.
reason I said Shea is because Shea is a point guard, but he's been playing shooting guard all season.
Yeah.
And when Schroeder and CP3 plays with the Thunder, he plays on small forward.
Okay.
So, this is a team that, they switch around positionless. Like I said,
Yeah.
they don't have, you know, positions. There's not really a center because the centers can shoot. So it's difficult to put the team's players into categories. So I would say they need another player who can do a little bit of everything, but most importantly, also a player who can defend. Because Luka, I wouldn't say he's a defensive liability, but he's he has to work a little bit on his defense.
Yeah.
He plays
Yeah.
almost no defense.
Like little bit of James Harden. No offense against the
Yeah,
James
yeah.
Harden fans, but
At least,
yeah,
at least James Harden gets a lot of things.
true. And fouls.
He has good ball awareness. Yeah, and fouls. But that also hurt Porzingis this season because when Luka doesn't defend his guy on a perimeter, Porzingis has to step up to
Yeah.
guard the guy, and sometimes he'll draw fouls when he's got already a lot of fouls and it's still early. He has to sit because then he can't play a lot of minutes. So it's been a good but difficult season for Porzingis, and I think when this team starts to click, it's gonna get ugly. When these two players, when we see Porzingis defense,
Knicks. Yeah. Knicks
uh,
Porzingis.
Knicks, Knicks offensive Porzingis with defensive Dallas Porzingis, when we see that player, it's yeah, that team is going to be great. But
Yeah.
there's also
Yeah.
another team. I don't know where you are in the game now. Already at halftime or not yet?
No, I'm still at 2 minutes to go to halftime. And
Some will switch
Porzingis,
over to
just for interesting, Porzingis has, let's just check. Okay, 14 points. So obviously, but yeah, I will tell you if it's halftime. I just want to, like what did I want to say now? What do you think about CP3? Maybe joining them,
I
if
think
that is
CP3.
possible.
Uh, I think CP3 would be a fantastic acquisition. One thing, cap space could be a problem.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it has a bit of
Uh,
a big contract.
he's
That's true.
he has a massive contract. I
But
mean,
maybe you can
the
put
guy's
in
making
some, what do you call it? Some picks and that to make a
Yeah,
trade.
let's look at it. If they sign, look, Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to free agency. So if they sign Tim Hardaway Jr. To a good contract, salary cap filler, maybe Willie Cauley-Stein. We're gonna have to put someone else, maybe Seth Curry, and that would be it. But the thing is, that would be good for the Mavericks on court,
Mm,
but I think it would hurt them in the long run because CP3 doesn't really fit their timeline.
yeah, it's true.
Their timeline at this moment is we've got Porzingis who's 24, we've got Luka who's 20, 21. We also have Jalen Brunson who is 21. Pretty young-ish team. So they would want the team to stay youngish. I know they have a good veteran in JJ Barea, and I think for now it's good enough.
Mm,
They need the team to grow on their own rather than help. CP3 is fantastic with Shea and with other young guys. Um, but I don't know. I don't think he fits the bill at this moment. You know, uh, I think we need another guy who can just like Tim Hardaway Jr. A guy who can just you can just slot into a roster. He can do a little bit of everything. He needs to play defense and he needs to shoot the free, and that would be fantastic for
yeah,
the. Because now that I think about it, Robert Covington would be a fantastic acquisition um, for the Mavericks. He would be really good because he's a free and D guy. He's got a good wingspan, so he plays defense, and you can just slot him into the team, and he's still fairly young. I mean, he's not young anymore. He's in his prime, but he's not pushing 30.
yeah, yeah,
So I think Robert Covington would be fantastic, but obviously the Rockets aren't gonna give up Robert Covington. They gave a first round pick and Clint Capella away just to get him in that massive 4-team trade. Gary Harris could also be a good fit. He's on the Nuggets this season, but he's been bad. Maybe a new scenery would do him good.
Mm.
Um, Gary Harris could also fit in well. You can put him in at shooting guard. Luka can feed him. He could feed Porzingis. But I think the most important thing, if they get another player, is that it either should be a 3-and-D guy, a spot-up shooter, and that's that. Because
Yeah.
you don't want another player to come in because Luka and Porzingis plays for pick and roll, and they can play the pick and pop. Because those two are intertwined. When Luka has the ball and Porzingis sets the screen, Luka can either pull up the three or go to the rim, or they can switch. Porzingis could go to the post. You could feed Porzingis in the post, or you could feed Porzingis on the 3-point line because Porzingis can shoot.
Yeah.
So those two guys have a lot of options on the offensive end. And, both of them, talking about radius-wise, it's almost impossible to stop them because you can't leave him open. It's different when like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid play the pick and roll because Ben Simmons always drives to the lane. He's never going to stay back.
Yeah.
But with Porzingis and Luka, if Porzingis stays, you can't leave him open. He's a 7'3" guy who can shoot, and he can also drive to the rim. And he's a good post player. He plays the low post and the post really well. He can feed Porzingis in the post. He's going to score. He has a good fadeaway. He's a tall guy. He can dunk over you. He can finish over you. He's got a good layup package. And he has a really quick release for a big guy. Think about other big guys like Joel Embiid, even Brook Lopez, Giannis. When those guys shoot, it's slow. But Porzingis, rapid fire, he gets the ball, he pull up, he shoots, and he's a great shooter. So it could be dangerous, and you don't want to disrupt what Luka and Porzingis have. So you just want, like I said, just 2.5. A guy that if he's on a team alone, he could be an all-star, but if he's not, and now speaking of it, I think Karis LeVert would be just perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Karis LeVert gives you 17 points, also a good defender, and
Yeah.
that's that.
What do you think about the Spurs? What do you think of DeMar DeRozan? Do they think they have a chance to be in the playoff? Are they in the playoffs now? No, they aren't.
No, they aren't. But I mean, they could still make it. Depends on how the season is going.
Yeah, but
They've
just
been in the playoffs for the last, I think, is it 20 years?
mm.
Yeah.
But with
okay.
Popovich leaving, he's going to leave.
Yeah, the
and all
Spurs
that.
is a difficult one.
Tim
The
Duncan.
Spurs don't
It's Tim Duncan not going to take over the coaching or something. I saw something like that.
Yeah. He's being on the coaching staff. That would be great. Fan favorite. People love him. I love Timmy. I love Tim Duncan. Not a flashy guy, but wow, what a player. But the Spurs is difficult because the Spurs don't rebuild, and obviously Popovich didn't want a bad team. When you have Popovich, you want to have a good team. Personally, I think they should have rebuilded the moment they traded away Kawhi Leonard. The moment they did that, they should have hit that rebuild button, put Aldridge on the trade block, put DeRozan when he could be eligible for trade on the trade block, get a few young pieces, get a few good picks, and start to rebuild.
Yeah.
Because now they're in a difficult situation. I mean, they don't really have good youngsters. They don't have bad youngsters, but, let's look at, real quick, DeJounte Murray. I like him. He's a fantastic defender, but offensively, he's not quite there yet. You have Derek White, insane vertical, but also a PG. Don't really know where it's going. And you got Looney Walker. Also, good player, but where is he really going? Jakob Poeltl is, he's basically just another Zubac, and there's already a Zubac, and he's not even better than Zubac. He's still young, but it's difficult. I can't really see him going anywhere because what do you think realistically is the trade value and marketability of Aldridge and the Marvelous the Frozen?
Okay, Aldrich is old. I don't know. He is quite old, but do you think they need to trade the DeRozan to start the rebuild? I think I think
I
DeMar
think they
DeRozan
should
is
trade
a
him,
he's
but
definitely an all-star, DeMar. So he's definitely he has value. So it's just going to be which team needs him because yeah, I don't know. I think he's quite. If he goes to trades, I think there's a few people that will of teams that would want him. That needs a yeah. What he is a shooting guard, eh? Small forward.
yeah, shooting guard, small forward,
Yeah,
But the problem is he's a good scorer. He dunks on guys. But the problem is he's scared to shoot threes. That's the thing.
yeah,
He doesn't shoot
mm.
threes.
And
I
in the
think
yeah,
he shoots terrible and he doesn't shoot. But I think you could the Magic could possibly put a bid up for him. Really, the Magic needs offense. They've got tradable assets. I think that'd be good. I don't know. I don't think the Spurs should just let them go because I don't know what the value is
yeah,
in San Antonio for free agents. I don't know. It's definitely. I don't think it's a very high marketplace.
yeah.
When free agents approach, we're not really going to be excited, especially looking at the roster without the Rosen and Aldridge. There's not much. I mean, if you're a free agent and you want to win, you're on your prime. You're not going to sign a 4-year contract and the best player on the roster is DeJounte Murray. You're going to think twice about signing that contract.
So you, it seems to me I'm just going to like say this now, but I haven't heard a lot of the Spurs in like recent years. Or okay, except
Yeah, but
when the Raptors traded the more, or when the more went to from the Raptors to the Spurs, and the bromance of Kyle Lowry and more the
yeah,
Frozen. Yeah, so
they've,
they have been quiet for a
they've
few years, or
basically
just
been relevant.
seem to be quiet. So I don't know if they're going to be in touch with. I sorry for the Spurs fans, the next Knicks. Uh, I don't know.
Uh, a rival could. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and what you're saying is true because since Tim Duncan retired, not much. I mean, they've
And
consistently
but
made the
Ginobili
playoffs.
also, when they all left.
Yeah, Ginobili also retired. Tony Parker went to the Hornets for a while, then retired. They've lost their big guys, and it's difficult because they've got two All Stars, two former All Stars. But it's almost like the batch no one wants.
Yeah.
When he's on your team, you're fine with it, but you're not really going to trade for him because both aren't getting younger. Both are over 30. And they don't give you too much. I mean, Aldridge is a fantastic mid range shooter, but he also doesn't shoot a lot of threes. But he's a fantastic shooter.
Mm.
Aldridge is difficult. It's difficult to put Aldridge in a box because for one game he's on fire. The guy drops 50, and I mean it's an all-star last season. And the same with DeRozan. I mean, 2018 DeRozan was on fire, and just to get swept by LeBron in the playoffs again. So, do you really want those guys? They don't have really championship pedigree. When Aldridge was still on the Blazers, you know, he had some decent runs with Dame, but nothing special. Got to the Spurs to kind of replace Tim Duncan, but yet again didn't quite do what you expect an All Star to do. So it's difficult. They're almost like I said. Everyone would want them on their team, but no one's going to do effort to get them. No one's going to pay them big money. No one's going to put a lot of value on them. But if they're on your team, you won't necessarily mind. But you're not going to go out there to get those guys. It's not like the Anthony Davis trade where you're like, wow, this guy has good marketability. We want him
Mm.
on our team. It's more of okay, we'll give you two. It's more about it. It's more like the Drummond trade. We'll give you two decent players, probably going to leave, but here's a second round pick just to finish it off, just to
Yeah, I
clean it
understand.
out.
Yeah, for me it's more like I don't know. It's it's, the, it's like the more the reason it just feels like me. Like I'm thinking while we were talking now about teams he could fit in and teams that want him. but there comes none to mind. Like, it's
And
difficult.
it's
It's like
basically
he's stuck there. You understand? Or it feels like it to me. I don't know.
yeah. I think he has I think he could go to free agency this season, but I think he has a player option which he most likely will pick up, especially as a market now because if the NBA also decreases the salary cap because of the coronavirus, etc., etc., you
Yeah,
know, he will probably look at this and I've got a 20 million player option, which I can take, or I could go into free agency, and the best I'm gonna get is maybe 5 to 10 million, or probably someone's gonna sign him on a veterans minimum, and he's not gonna get that max contract. I mean, is he even a max contract player?
yeah.
That's also a question.
No,
Like I said, it's difficult.
it's
The only
difficult.
team I could see him really, really doing well, and the only team that could need a player like DeRozan, would I say, is the Magic. The Magic need scoring. The offense is terrible, and DeRozan fits the bill. And they could give up good players.
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon is on basically the same contract. Aaron Gordon maybe a first round pick, and that's that. Aaron Gordon is younger, same contract. Aaron Gordon has stagnated, but putting a first round pick in that, I think it's a good deal. I would
Mm,
take it if I was the Spurs. Getting a first round pick, definitely take it. Maybe top 5 protected, maybe even top 10 protected. It's fine. Um, but I would take it, get DeRozan off the books, take a player like Aaron Gordon, who's younger. He's got some flashy dunks, not the greatest player, but you're going to have to start somewhere.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can
It's
you,
it's
the Thunder didn't want to rebuild with Gallinari and CP3, but those are the guys they made the best out of the situation. And that's you increase the player's trade value. And I think also if they do something like that, the Magic could maybe throw in Mo Bamba as well. I think Mo Bamba needs a fresh start.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Definitely. But I think the biggest problem now for the Spurs is to get a franchise cornerstone. To get a guy who can really, the fans can get behind, the franchise can get behind, and the team can get behind. You need a light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm sorry for bringing up OKC again. I'm an OKC fan, so my perspective is coming from OKC, but the same like with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. This season he's shown that wow, this is the guy's second season. He's putting up 20 per game. This guy is our next cornerstone. He could take us to the playoffs year in, year out. We need to build around this guy. And the Spurs need the same guy because I'm sorry, I like DeJounte Murray, but at this moment, I can't see DeJounte Murray being that guy. He
yeah,
needs to work his offense. He's fantastic defender, but defense is only going to get you this far in the league today. And it's a good thing that you're a good defender, but you need to shoot. Otherwise, you're just going to be a role player.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and he's a point guard, so I mean, going for defensive player of the year is tough for point guards.
So
Only
basically,
Gary.
what we're saying is the Spurs needs to do something now, or they're going to have a long slum, as I can almost say. Well, not a slum,
Oh,
but yeah,
a long rebuild. The thing is, the
rebuild. Yeah,
Spurs
long
don't
rebuild.
rebuild. The
Yeah, that's the.
Spurs don't rebuild.
You never heard
So
of it. Yeah, like Tony Parker was with them for like 1,000
yeah,
years, and what's
well,
Tim Duncan was there for like 1,050 years, and Clint Ginobili was there for
even
2,000
before,
years.
Robertson was also there for a long. Won MVP there, won titles with them. It's only Kawhi, but it's like no, I'm not gonna stay with these guys anymore. But if I was the Spurs, and if you're not gonna rebuild, that's fine. But then you're gonna have to act aggressively. Act aggressively means you're gonna have to put DeRozan and Aldridge on the trade block, and maybe a couple of first round picks mixed in with them, and you're gonna have to acquire a good star. And I don't know who's gonna willing to take those two players. Probably a contending team, but you're gonna have to make it worthwhile with picks.
Yeah,
So it's always a risk. You never want to trade away a lot of first round picks because it's always difficult. it's a risk because that player could get injured the moment he steps onto the court, and that could be a career-defining injury, and that could backtrack you a lot. And if you don't have picks, usually you protect them. Obviously, top 3 or top 5 protected, but every now and again you get a unprotected first round pick, and that could be ugly. So I don't know, aggressive. We're gonna have to be aggressive. We're gonna have to look at a player, and have to contact other franchises and say, look,
Yeah,
this is what we have, but this is what we'll give you, and you're gonna have to take it. You're gonna have to give away more than you need to give, just because you're not willing to rebuild.
yeah, they have to act now, or I don't know what. But like you said, um, yeah, like they have to trade their big assets. That's just how they're going to have. They're going to maybe you never know. They can maybe go, okay, we're going to trade the DeRozan to the Pistons, which I think he can, because we don't. Okay, I'm a Pistons fan, and as we know, the Pistons also really needs a rebuild. So
Yeah,
um,
but they're almost the same position. I wouldn't necessarily in the same position, but almost. But at least they've decided they're going into a rebuild, and they blew it up.
yeah, they did.
What they did, they did. I mean, they let go of Reggie Jackson. They traded away Drummond. They still have to trade away D Rose, and
Maybe Blake also.
they're probably going to trade away Blake as well. But they're at least doing something. The Spurs have just been, yeah, but this team could still make the playoffs. This team could still make the playoffs. That's what they're constantly saying. And last season it worked. They lost in 7 against the first round against the Nuggets. But this season it started off decent, but didn't look bad. And now we're in a difficult position because they're not going to make the playoffs. It's too tight. I mean, not even the Blazers are making the playoffs. So
Yeah, and they were in the playoffs last year.
yeah, we're in the
So
Western Conference Finals season,
yeah,
and the roster got better. Uh, but it's tough for
yeah,
any team in the West. It's tough, and it's more so for the San Antonio Spurs because they don't have a lot to work with at this moment. I don't want to criticize the Rosen or Aldridge. Look, I like them. I want to say I'm fans, but I have no problem with them. I don't
yeah,
want to, take away anything they did. They are good players. They are NBA players. They are all stars. That's bad. Not taking anything away from them. But you look at the current playing styles in the era we live in and the era of basketball. If you look at their age,
yeah,
there's not much to work with the Spurs. It's difficult. But saying that, it's not the end of the world. I mean, a lot of people thought Chris Paul would also be, dead in the water. No one's going to trade for him. Nobody wants him. And he said, no, I'm still good. I have still value, and now his value is higher than the OKC got him. DeRozan can do the same. He can show. I mean, he had it now. He had a time now to work on his stuff. If he could shoot more threes, same with Aldridge. I mean, they could still be a solid role player on a team. I don't think they will be all stars again. Maybe on a weaker team, but the Spurs have to decide where they're going with this.
yeah,
Because
no,
if you're gonna go into a rebuild, you're rebuilding. You don't do what the Knicks did. You don't half of the time you're rebuilding, other half of the time you're contending. You have to decide. There's no in between because if you're in between in the NBA, it's the worst place to be because you're not going to get far in the playoffs or you're just missing out on the playoffs and you're not going to get a good quality pick. That is the worst place to be in the NBA. Is in the middle,
yeah,
and that's where the Spurs are now.
yeah. Okay,
So they
but
have to decide.
yeah, they have to decide. But yeah, the game is over. Mavericks won. So yeah, thank you for viewing, and yeah, hope you
Yeah,
leave your thoughts in the comments, and we will reply.
as always, thanks for watching us here on Splash Bros. I hope you enjoyed the content. Like Lumpy's just said, if you enjoyed it, leave a like, leave a subscribe, leave a comment, and tell us what you think. Hit that jumper.
Yeah, hit that jumper. Cheers, guys.
All right, guys.